Hello, everyone. The Mann family home in Fort Worth, Texas, stood like a fortress of memories, its walls lined with framed album covers, family photos, and awards from decades of gospel and comedy triumphs. But tonight, the warmth that once defined the space was gone, replaced by a suffocating tension that clung to every corner. Tamela Mann stood in the kitchen, her hands gripping the edge of the granite island, her eyes fixed on a single photo from their 1988 wedding. Her in a simple white dress, David grinning like he'd won the lottery. Now that same man sat in the living room, his head in his hands, the weight of his secret affair with a family friend named Jackie threatening to dismantle everything they'd built. The rumor, first whispered on X and now screaming across tabloids, had exploded into a full-blown scandal. David Mann's hidden affair exposed, and Tamela Mann filing for divorce. The air was heavy with betrayal, and the clock on the wall ticked like a countdown to the end of their 36-year marriage. Tamela's heart pounded as she replayed the moment she'd found the text messages on David's phone. Flirty, intimate exchanges with Jackie, a doctor who'd been part of their inner circle for years. She dismissed the initial X posts as jealous gossip, the kind that always trailed their fame as gospel and comedy royalty. But the evidence was undeniable now. Late-night calls, unexplained trips, and hushed conversations David had brushed off as nothing. Their daughter Porcia had warned her, her voice trembling over the phone. "Mama, something's not right. I saw Dad with her at that charity event, and it wasn't just friendly." Tamela had laughed it off then, trusting the man who'd stood by her through miscarriages, career highs, and the chaos of raising a blended family. But now, standing in the wreckage of that trust, she felt like a fool. "How could you, David?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the refrigerator. In the living room, David paced, his usual comedian swagger replaced by a man unraveling. He'd always been the one to make Tamela laugh, to pull her out of the darkness with a joke or a silly dance. But no punchline could fix this. "Tamela, please, just hear me out," he called, his voice raw with desperation. He stepped into the kitchen, stopping short when he saw the tears streaming down her face. "It wasn't an affair, not like they're saying. Jackie was just there. I was stressed, Tam. The tours, the TV shows, the pressure of keeping us in the spotlight. It got to me." She listened. That's all it was at first. His words stumbled, each one landing like a blow. Tamela spun to face him, her eyes blazing with a fire that could have lit up a gospel stage. "Listened? David, you let her into our lives, our home. You let her sit at our table, smile in my face, while you two were, what? Sneaking around like teenagers?" Her voice rose, shaking with the weight of her pain. The accusation that hurt most wasn't even the affair. It was the wild rumor, fueled by a viral X post, that David and Jackie had tried to harm her, something about poisoning her medication during a recent health scare. Tamela didn't believe it, not really, but the seed of doubt had taken root. "They're saying you wanted me gone, David," she said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "That you and your doctor friend tampered with my pills. Is that what this was? Get me out of the way so you could live your little fantasy?" David's eyes widened, his hands shooting up in defense. "Tamela, that's crazy. I'd never hurt you, never. You know me better than that. Those lies are just people trying to tear us down. You're my heart, my priority, my everything." His voice cracked, tears spilling down his cheeks. But Tamela's resolve was steel. She'd spent her life singing about faith, about God's love holding her together. But this betrayal felt like a test she wasn't sure she could pass. She reached into her purse, her hands trembling, and pulled out a manila envelope, the word divorce, written in sharp black ink. She slid it across the island, the sound of it scraping against the granite like a gunshot in the quiet room. David froze, his breath catching as he stared at the envelope. "No, Tamela, no," he pleaded, his voice breaking. "We can fix this. We've been through too much. Your Grammy wins, my kids from before us, the industry telling us we'd never make it. We always come back to us. Don't throw that away." He stepped closer, reaching for her, but she backed away, her hand raised like a shield. "You threw it away, David," she said, her voice steady despite the tears. "You chose to hide, to lie, to let someone else take my place. I've given you everything, my love, my trust, my life. The front
And you
door
gave
creaked
me
open,
secrets.
and their daughter Portia stepped inside, her face a mix of worry and anger. She'd been staying nearby, unable to leave her mother alone in the storm of the scandal. "Mama, you okay?" she asked, her eyes darting to David, who looked like a man drowning. Tamela nodded, wiping her tears, but her voice was firm. "I will be, baby. I just need time." She turned back to David, her gaze unwavering. "I filed the papers today, David. I can't live like this, wondering who you are when I'm not looking." "I deserve better." Porcia stepped forward, her hand resting on her mother's shoulder, a silent show of strength. David sank onto a bar stool, his hands covering his face, the reality of his choices crashing down. The world outside was buzzing, X posts, news headlines, fans picking sides, but in that kitchen, it was just the three of them, a family fractured by one man's mistake. Tamela walked to the window, staring out at the city lights, her heart heavy but resolute. She'd built a career on songs of redemption, but this wasn't a stage she could sing her way out of. "It's us against the world," she whispered, echoing the mantra that had carried them through decades. But now, the world felt too big, and us felt like a memory. David's sobs echoed behind her, but she didn't turn back. She'd survived this, just like she'd survived everything else. The divorce papers were her first step toward reclaiming herself, even if it meant walking away from the man she'd loved for a lifetime. David Anthony Mann Sr. is an American actor and gospel singer who has starred in many Tyler Perry plays, including I Can Do Bad All by Myself, Medea's Family Reunion, Medea's Class Reunion, Meet the Browns, and What's Done in the Dark. His character, Mr. Brown, is the father of Medea's daughter, Cora, played by his real-life wife, Tamela Mann. Mann also reprised his role as the character in the films Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns, Tyler Perry's Medea Goes to Jail, Medea's Big Happy Family, A Medea Homecoming, and Medea's Destination Wedding. Mann was born in Fort Worth, Texas, USA. He has been married to Tamela Mann since 1988. They were both previous members of Kirk Franklin's vocal ensemble, The Family, before working with Tyler Perry. In 2018, he and Tamela recorded a romantic soul album together called Us Against the World. Thanks for watching.